Hey, Striving Artist fans, Artistic Director Greg Lusitano here. It's a new year, and that means a new season of shows, music, and film from your friends here at Striving Artists. We can't wait to start our second decade. Literally, we couldn't wait. Rehearsals have already started for our first show, which opens next month. So, let's get started with talking about everything that we have on deck for Season 11, named after our favorite character from Stranger Things. First up, Mrs. Mannerly by Jeffrey Hatcher. This is a really charming play in which a man reflects on his childhood in the early 60s when he took etiquette classes with an old-fashioned woman who it turns out may have more to her than meets the eye. Like Transformers. Our executive director, Mary Beth Lusitano, is directing this one, and she also plays Mrs. Mannerly. The inimitable Greg Gear will be playing the man telling the story. He also plays the same character as a child during the flashback sequences, as well as all of his classmates. Must be something about guys named Greg who just always want to play everything. Seriously, Greg is probably the funniest actor I know. The show is funny, it's sweet, it's set in the 60s, it has an adult reflecting on his childhood memories while doing a bunch of voices. I mean, this is clearly in our wheelhouse, right? So come see it. It's the first 2 weekends in February. Next up, in March, we'll finally release our album of Jesus Christ Superstar. I've been working on this, recordings and mixing and all of that for over a year. I've been furiously mixing and mastering over the last few weeks, and I have to say, it sounds pretty cool. You know, we have some really, really amazing voices on this thing. I think I got some really cool early 70s dirty sounding guitar and bass and keyboard tones. Let's see, Emma Hookway does her woodwind thing, Jessie Hookway does her trumpet thing, Abby Dixon does her string thing, and Nate Gonslow just crushes it on the drums. I could probably just release like a drums-only version of this thing, and it would be worth every penny, believe me. He's amazing. Superstar indeed. Okay. So the plan right now is that pre-sales will begin on February 1st on our soon-to-be live new webpage with a release date of March 1st, which begins Lent. You see what I did there? That was actually Katie's idea, I think, Katie O'Rourke. Like a year ago, she told me, why don't you do it for Lent? And I was like, this thing's going to be done before then. Yeah, well, she was right. And there, now it's on film. Tell your sister you were right. There'll be a limited number of CD copies, and of course, digital options on all the typical platforms. So, also, I'll be posting 30-second clips of each song every day in February because there just happen to be precisely 28 songs. In May, we'll once again be participating in the Boston 48-Hour Film Project. You will remember last year's Enameled with You, which, if I may say so, is a delight and a national treasure. And I'm sure we'll come up with something equally charming this year. So, stay tuned. Hi, Leia. What are you up to? Say hello to everybody. Hello. July. Shakespeare. The Henriad. So here's the scoop with this. Long before J.K. Rowling or George Lucas popularized a series of stories chronicling a young man coming to grips with his destiny as a leader while struggling with daddy issues and hanging out with an oversized hairy sidekick, Shakespeare got there first. Our production of the Henriad will include material from Henry IV Part 1, Henry IV Part 2, Henry V, and probably like a prologue of some kind from Richard II. So for those of you familiar with it, it's like Season 1 of The Hollow Crown. Okay? The intention is to take material from these 4 plays and compress it into 2 performances. We're working out the details with each venue, but I suspect it'll be the kind of thing where the first half is performed on Saturday, second half is performed on Sunday, with some options somewhere at one of the places for people to take in the whole dang thing in one go, if they're up for it. Okay? You will not need to see the first half in order to understand the second half. and the first half won't have like a whole bunch of cliffhangers or anything like that. So you could easily just go to one or the other and have a complete satisfying experience, or you can supersize and take in both. So I feel like there was something else about the Shakespeare this year that was noteworthy. Oh, right. It's co-directed by Jeremy Funk and myself. Jeremy is one of our earliest members. I've been writing with him since high school, and co-directing with him since high school. He's been our dramaturg since we started. He's written a whole pile of material for our holiday shows and for Too Much Pudding, and the book that we put out and stuff like that. He was Benedict in our very first summer Shakespeare, Much Ado About Nothing. He's crazy talented. It's also the first time I'm directing Shakespeare since Merry Wives of Windsor. Apparently Falstaff just brings me out of the woodwork. Also, we'll be casting this one completely gender blind. All parts are available. We have no preconceived notions about who will be going where. So if you're one of the many amazing women who've acted for us in the past, or is thinking about joining up this year, don't worry about like, oh, that's such a male-heavy show. Why are they doing that? All parts are going to be available. You'll recall probably that when we did Romeo and Juliet, even though it's a tragedy, we emphasized the humor in the first half of it so that it would gradually get darker as it went. The Henry plays will have the same tone, where, yes, they are histories and they're sort of dark and there's war and all of that, but there's also a lot of goofy antics and, friends getting into scrapes and all of that, chicanery. So, yeah, good times. Tuesdays and Other Plays. It's a follow-up collection of shorts by Bill Donnelly, whose material we've been performing since we started. Mondays and Other Plays from several years ago, all that material was his. Magnetic North was his. The monologue Siobhan does about in the holiday shows where she's arguing with her sister about the protocol for setting up the manger correctly. And then the other one where she's reaming out her mom for getting a chintzy gift for the grandparents, and then, oops, mom got laid off. Now I feel like a tool. Those are his. He's a really great writer. We could do his material for years before we would run out of amazing stuff, so it's going to be awesome. And last but not least, our 9th annual holiday show. You know the drill with this one. Songs, scenes, stories, fuzzy feelings. My sister will probably cry at some point. It's a good time. And family friendly. So there you go. Season 11. As always, thank you to everyone who continues to support us, and I hope to see you soon at one of our shows. Coming to grips with his destiny